Hello and welcome to this continuing coursework video for Media Studies A-Level Component 3, where you have to develop your own product as your coursework. Today's video is going to look at thumbnails. These are mentioned in most briefs as being something that needs to be on the back of the DVD cover. So today we're going to look at using thumbnails. You can see the brief asks for a certain number of thumbnail images that are linked to your storyline and characters. You can see there in this case, on this example brief, it's the second bullet point down, and you can see they deliberately tell you what those thumbnail images need to contain. Now let's take a look at some examples then and how thumbnail images are used in each one before you begin to think about how you're going to use the thumbnail images in your own DVD. Well, first up, here is the DVD cover in full from Humans that we've looked at in previous videos, and as you can see on the left hand side just below centre we have our thumbnail images. They're approximately 2 centimeters by 4 centimeters at most, all approximately the same size, and in this case linked to the central characters of the series. We have Dr. Millikan, Laura Hawkins, Leo Elster, Joe Hawkins. The images are in a row and framed using the straight black lines that link to a sci-fi text. So I think it's deliberately supposed to look a little bit computerized, a little bit futuristic. If you look at the background there, it reminds you perhaps of the back of a circuit board, and you've got that slightly off. They're not quite all the same size. You can see there the border is slightly shifted to remind again of a circuit board of some kind. You'll notice all the images are fairly close up on the key characters, focusing from key elements of the TV show itself. So these are more or less freeze frames of the characters during the opening episode. As we move forward then, let's take a look at some other DVD covers from different genres, murder, mystery there and horror, and you can see they employ a similar kind of traits in terms of how to use their thumbnails. The thriller uses 3 thumbnails in this case. They're dotted around all over the back cover, and yet again they clearly show dramatic elements of the plot. You can see in each one there are 2 characters featured, and each one has used lighting to generate effects, as well as the characters' expressions looking concerned, worried, or on edge of some kind, which links to the genre of murder mystery. If we look at the horror DVD cover there, you can see yet again 4 thumbnail images straight across the middle of the screen, and in this case they deliberately embody many classic tropes of the horror genre. You've got the hidden face there, seemingly standing in prison with the hoodie, a code perhaps for crime or violence. You've got the 2 characters there, seemingly looking lost or confused or heartbroken or depressed in thumbnail 2. You've got that graphic close-up there of what I would imagine the film's antagonist to be, somebody looking deliberately horror-like, a ghost, an entity, somebody possessed, something like that in number 3. And the last one, number 4, has got that stark black image with white background, with clearly this character in pain or being tortured in some way, which once again links to the horror genre. You'll notice then in each case all 3 or 4 thumbnails are deliberately using the codes and conventions of the genre they are selling on the back of their DVD. So now let's recap the codes you should be using in your design. As I mentioned on that last screen, there are many different codes or ways of getting across your meaning through your thumbnails. This is just a recap then of the semiotic codes you should be using or thinking to use in your design. We have hermeneutic codes. Anything mysterious which serves to build tension would tick that box. So for example, it could be a pool of blood on the floor, and we're immediately wondering where did it come from, what created it. Poetic codes, these are action codes. Can we guess what will happen next, i.e. a close-up of a gun implying violence to follow. It could then be some kind of violent act, a close-up of a hand holding a gun. It could be the close-up of a bus just about to go off a cliff edge. Something then that links to what might happen next if you were to watch the episode in full. Symbolic codes are where you deliberately use imagery to represent something. For example, a heart symbolising love or small red cross indicating health. Some of your key text, Kiss a Vampire and Dizzy Rascal, employ symbolic codes regularly to get their meaning or their hidden meaning across to their audience. Semantic codes are where images contain hidden meaning or connotations. So, for example, a horror film would use a lot of red and black, indicating violence, indicating death, and indicating evil. Equally, you could have a woman holding something tightly to them. It might be a piece of jewellery, for example. This would show that she loves that particular piece of jewellery, and it might remind her of somebody special in perhaps a romance genre. And cultural codes. These are things that link to the part of culture or ethnicity or gender or time period. Formation by Beyoncé is filled with these, as Beyoncé deliberately nods to New Orleans culture in her Formation music video. This is a little bit harder, so think about your setting, where you're placing your particular characters or journey or story, and think about, are there any codes you could impart there which suggest which country the characters are in, or indeed which part of the country the characters are in. So it could be a famous landmark, it could be a recognisable bridge, it could be something in the background that indicates where this particular film is set. The other important thing to consider is the camera shot you choose to use. Here are some examples then taken from our media studies booklet. You've got the extreme long shot, unlike used in a thumbnail, that one. The very long shot, the long shot, medium shot. And then we've got the ones more likely to be used in a thumbnail, which we saw examples of earlier. The medium shot, where you pick a character from the waist upwards. The medium close-up, which is the head and shoulders. The close-up, which is the just the head of the person. The big close-up, where you focus on just their face. And of course the extreme close-up, just their eyes. And that could be suitable for a moment of terror or a moment of high drama of some kind. It is likely then your thumbnails are going to use one or ideally all four different types of shot on the right hand side, from medium shot all the way up to extreme close-up, to demonstrate you're aware of all the different shots being used and equally what effect each shot could generate for your particular genre. Let's recap then the key things that you need to consider when creating the thumbnails for your particular DVD. Each thumbnail should be small. They are central to the DVD back cover, often positioned right in the middle. They show key dramatic moments in the plot. They show at least some members of the cast in close-up. They are framed in a way that suits the genre. In an examined piece, they should use the codes of the genre that you are creating, and this should be very obvious for the exam board that you've done this. These are also the things you comment on in your aims and intentions write-up as well. You'd say you deliberately use the codes and conventions of your genre, and this is where you could find them if you're looking at your DVD cover and what effects you hope to create through their inclusion. Now then, take the time to plan your back of your DVD cover. Ask questions like, what will the layout be like? How will you hit the brief? What shots, mise-en-scene codes will you use in your thumbnail pictures? Use the example brief on the screen there to guide you, and make sure each of those things are ticked off on the back of your DVD. Get a partner or a friend to check through your answer, making sure all of those bullet points are easily found on the back of your cover. Thank you very much for listening, and good luck with your coursework.